Now, the local index seems to be holding steady so far this morning, with the rand still trading above the 18 rand mark against the dollar. Locally, President Cyril Ramaphosa expected to announce a cabinet reshuffle tonight. Simon Brown is JustOneLap founder, joins us now to dissect the market moves in early trade at the JSE. Simon, good morning to you. Let's start with the quick overview of how the markets are faring in early trade after the JSE closed firmer on Friday, ending the first week of the new month on a positive note.
Morning, Polly. And we're seeing another green market so far today. We picked up from where Asia left off. I mean, not shooting the lights out. The overall market, all shares up only 0.25%. We've got industrials up just over 0.5%. That's been helped by Bidvest, which came out with strong results this morning. Financials up 1/3. And then the resources, they're under a bit of pressure. 0.25% down. That might be on some of the rand, as you mentioned. 18.15, a lot better than it was 10 days ago when we got grey listed. It hit 18.50 at that point in time. But not a lot of red around the screen at all. Good morning so far.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, President Cyril Ramaphosa scheduled to announce changes to the national executive tonight. Does the market care?
With respect to the president, only if he really makes a big surprise one way or the other. You know, if, I don't know, Chris Yelland were to come in as our electricity minister, the market would love that. But broadly, they're expecting, you know, another cabinet, probably a very large cabinet with a lot of fairly old faces. As you mentioned in the intro there are some positions that have to change because simply the dynamics, if nothing else, are deputy president. But the market is not expecting a heck lot of it, probably more focused on GDP data coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, let's then focus the attention on business, the decision by the Competition Tribunal on whether to give the Heineken Distell 40.1 billion rand merger the go-ahead, which is expected this week. Do we have any clues, Simon, as to which way this decision may go?
Not directly clues, but in a sense, we've had these sort of large mergers before, and the Competition Commission usually allows. There have been some, and I'm thinking back to Marion Robertson Aton from 6 or so years ago, which was absolutely turned down. And whilst I think there are perhaps some grounds for turning down the proposed merger, I think it'll pass. But the other thing the Competition Commission likes to do, terms and conditions. You can do the merger, but these are certain parts. And that might be around local procurement, it might be around employment, and of course it might be around some of their brands, which they think might give them a bit of a monopoly, particularly in the cider space.
Let's talk company news. RCL Foods publishing its results for the 6 months, which ended on December of 2022. How did they fare?
So it's a mixed bunch, and it's what we're seeing a lot of coming through at the moment. So revenue was up 17.6% at just over 20 billion rand, which is a good number on the surface. But unfortunately, cost pressure from input costs, i.e., broadly just the cost of maize and the like, diesel costs because they've got some logistics in there, and then of course load shedding at the same time. Those three really hurt, and they went from a 17.6% increase in revenue to actually a headline earnings per share of down 22.4%. The market has taken the stock down just under 2%, but we're kind of getting used to this now, where your growth is growing, but your costs are growing as well, and how are you managing the margins? And with RCL, the margins have come under severe pressure.
Let's conclude the conversation with Avia, which also posted its results for the 6 months, which ended in December of 2022. Talk us through their numbers.
So Avia is a similar-ish. I mean, they've got I&J, they've got Snapworks and the like, and then, of course, they've got some fashion brands. They also saw revenue growing, 7.2%, but their headline earnings was up 0.6%. So whilst there was some margin squeeze happening here in Avia, and they referred to a cost for diesel for generators of 22 million, and then some issues around their fishing business, I&J, abalone, because of the lockdowns in China. They've done a much better job at holding on to their operating and gross profit margins. And And this very much is one of the things that I think the Avia management is incredibly well known for, that even in tough conditions, they manage to hold margins. And that's done two ways. One, trying to keep a lid on the price increases, but two, pushing price increases onto consumers.
JustOneLap founder is Simon Brown. Thank you very much for that markets update.